There comes a point in every person's life where you get tired of talking, tired of dreaming, tired of saying one day. You get to that breaking point where you look at your life and realize nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you the life you keep imagining. That's when something inside of you snaps, not in a weak way, but in a powerful, dangerous way. That's when you stop waiting and start building. That's when you stop asking for permission and start taking control. You see, most people never reach that point because they're scared of what it takes to get there. They're scared of discipline. They're scared of sacrifice. They're scared to lose comfort, but they don't realize comfort is the very thing keeping them average. Every time you hit snooze, every time you make an excuse, every time you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, you're training your mind to settle. You're teaching yourself to live with less when you were born to have more. And the truth is, nobody respects potential that never turns into action. Nobody fears a lion that never leaves its cage. You say you want success, but you're surrounded by distractions, drowning in laziness, waiting for motivation to knock on your door. It's never coming. You've got to become the kind of person who creates their own motivation, who builds it out of pain, out of hunger, out of pure obsession. Because that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. When I say be that one, I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm talking about being powerful. The kind of power that comes from resilience, from focus, from refusing to quit no matter how many times life knocks you down. You've got to look in the mirror and see a warrior staring back. Not someone who's just surviving, but someone who's building, pushing, fighting, growing. You've got to become dangerous to doubt, dangerous to laziness, dangerous to mediocrity. When you walk into a room, people should feel your energy. They should see that you're not playing games. You're locked in. You're on a mission. You're not here to blend in with the crowd. You're here to make them remember your name. The truth is, greatness doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who refuse to live without it. Every champion you've ever admired, they were built in silence and pain and nights when nobody was watching. They didn't wait for motivation, they became it. So if you're serious, if you're ready to step into your next level, then it's time to kill every excuse, silence every doubt, and step into the mindset of a warrior. You move with purpose. You move with purpose. You're with precision, you live with power. Because once you decide that failure is not an option, that's the day you become unstoppable. That's the day you stop existing and start dominating. Everybody wants to be great until it's time to put in the work that greatness demands. Everybody wants to stand on the mountaintop, but nobody wants to climb. The truth is, success doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your grind. You can talk about your dreams all day long, but if you don't get up and bleed for them, they'll stay exactly where they are, in your imagination. The first step to being that miss is simple but brutal. Stop talking about it and start becoming it. Because the world doesn't listen to your words. It studies your patterns, your actions, your habits. You can say you're about it, but if your behavior doesn't reflect your ambition, nobody will believe you. Every single day, you're either building your name or breaking it. The reason most people never become what they say they want to be is because they think saying it is enough. They think intention equals execution. They think motivation is the same as discipline. But you can have all the inspiration in the world. If it doesn't translate into work, it's wasted energy. You can't manifest success by talking about it. You manifest it by showing up, even when it hurts, even when you're tired, even when nobody claps for you. The person who wins isn't the one who says the right things. It's the one who does the right things when nobody's watching. There comes a point where you have to silence the noise of your own mouth. Every excuse, every story, every empty promise, shut it down. Because the more you talk about it, the more you trick your brain into believing you've already done it. That's the trap. People love to fantasize about their future so much that they forget to build it. They get addicted to the image of success, not the grind of success. You can't fake becoming. You either pay the price or stay broke. Not just financially, but mentally and spiritually. To become that person, that beast, that name people respect, you've got to develop an obsession with your craft. You've got to fall in love with the grind. There's no shortcut, no secret, no hack. The only thing that separates the talkers from the winners is execution. You wake up earlier. You train harder. You study longer. You push further. You outlast the ones who give up. You don't complain about what it costs because you know what it's worth. The talkers are loud because they need attention. The doers are quiet because they're building something real. Every single day you're faced with a choice. Are you going to live up to the words that come out of your mouth, or are you going to keep lying to yourself? Because make no mistake, every time you say you want something and don't move toward it, you're teaching your brain that your word means nothing. You're training yourself to accept mediocrity. You're programming yourself to settle. That's why so many people talk big, but move small. Their actions have no weight. Their promises have no power. The only way to change that is through consistency, repetition of discipline, doing the work over and over until it becomes who you are, not just what you do. You've got to stop waiting for the right moment. There is no perfect time, no perfect mood, no perfect plan. The perfect time is now. The perfect plan is action. The perfect mind says, whatever it takes. The more you wait, the more you lose. Every second you spend overthinking is a second someone else is grinding. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, someone else is doing it. Life doesn't pause for your hesitation. If you want it, go get it. Not next week, not tomorrow. Now, the truth is, most people will never become what they talk about because they never fully commit to it. They keep one foot in and one foot out. They want the reward, but not the responsibility. They want the results, but not the resistance. They crave the spotlight, but hide from the grind. You can't play both sides. You either go all in or you get left behind. You can't be half disciplined, half motivated, half dedicated. You've got to burn the bridge between you and your comfort zone. The moment you do that, you'll see what you're really made of. When you start becoming it, your life changes. You start walking differently, talking differently, thinking differently. You don't chase validation anymore because your confidence comes from your grind. You stop needing people to believe in you because you've already proven yourself in the dark. When you live this way, your presence speaks louder than your words ever could. People start to feel your energy before you even open your mouth. They know you're about it. They can see it in your eyes, hear it in your tone, feel it in your movements. That's power, not borrowed from anyone, but built from within. Becoming that myth isn't about ego. It's about identity. It's about saying, I refuse to live as a version of myself. That settles. It's about killing the weak parts of you that crave comfort. It's about building a version of you that thrives in the storm, because life is going to hit you hard. It's supposed to. But when you've been grinding, when you've been putting in that silent work, when you've been fighting through the pain while others were resting, you don't break, you don't fold, you rise, you adapt, you overcome. People love to talk about potential, but potential is worthless if it stays in your head. The graveyard is full of potential, full of people who could have been legends but never put in the work. Don't let your name end up there. Be the one who shuts up and shows up. The one who doesn't need to explain because your results are undeniable. That's the difference between the ones who dream and the ones who dominate. So stop talking about it. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Stop hoping for easy days. Just start becoming. Let your silence be your roar. Let your work ethic be your proof. Let your discipline be your voice. Every day, remind yourself, nobody owes you anything. You got to earn it. And the only currency that matters is effort. The more you put in, the more you get back. And when people ask you how you did it, you won't need to say a word. They'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll know you became it. You stopped talking and started becoming the very thing they said you couldn't be. That's when you know you've arrived. Being that myth starts with ownership. Absolute, undeniable, unshakable ownership of who you are, where you are, and what you're going to become. It means you stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for perfect timing, and you stop blaming circumstances. You look in the mirror and say, it's on me. No excuses, no backup plan, no plan B, just raw accountability. That's where real power begins. When you stop outsourcing responsibility for your life, and you start taking command of every decision, every move, every day. You stop saying they didn't support me. And you start saying I didn't push hard enough. You stop saying it wasn't my fault. And you start saying I should have prepared better. You stop playing the victim and start playing the general. Because the truth is, you can't control the world, but you can control how you move through it. And that's what separates the weak from the strong. Not luck, not connections, not money. Control. Control of self. Control of mind. Control of response. To be that myth means you live on discipline, not on emotion. You don't move because you feel like it. You move because it must be done. The weak live on moods. They train when they're inspired. They show up when it's easy. They quit when it's tough. But you move regardless. You build consistency like a machine. Because when you're on your purpose, feelings don't get a vote. Tired, you still show up. Angry, you still execute. Broke, you still grind. Because the real ones know discipline will carry you when motivation dies. Every morning you wake up with a choice, the comfort of your excuses or the pain of your progress. Being that myth means you choose the pain, you choose the grind, you choose the road that breaks you before it builds you. You choose to suffer now so you can shine later. You're not asking life to be easy, you're demanding yourself to be stronger. You see, there's a reason most people never make it. They let life dictate their energy. When things go right, they're unstoppable. When things go wrong, they disappear. But being that myth means you're consistent through both. You don't crumble when you lose. You don't get lazy when you win. You keep your foot on the gas. Because success is not a finish line, it's a lifestyle. It's something you breathe, something you eat, something you bleed for. And once you decide that this is who you are, not what you do, the game changes. You become the storm, not the victim of it. You move through setbacks like they were speed bumps. You stop overthinking, stop doubting, stop comparing, and you lock in. Because the second you stop chasing validation and start chasing greatness, you become dangerous. You become the person they talk about when you're not in the room. You become the one that sets the standard. Being that myth means you're willing to go alone if you have to. You're not afraid of solitude, you use it. You train in silence, you suffer in silence, you build in silence, and then you let your results make the noise. You don't beg for recognition, you earn respect through repetition. You understand that the grind isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to hurt because that pain, that's the price. That's the tax you pay to live at a higher level. And once you embrace it, you stop fearing the process. You start hungering for it. Every time you struggle, you remind yourself, this is shaping me. This is sharpening me. This is building me into that unbreakable version of myself. And that's the mindset that wins, not just for a season, but for life. So if you want to be that man, stop waiting for someone to tell you it's time. It's time now. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to hand you anything. Nobody owes you recognition, love, or validation. You owe yourself the grind, the discipline, and the transformation. You owe yourself a version of you that even your doubters won't recognize. You owe yourself greatness, not for the world, but for your own soul. Because once you decide to stop talking and start becoming, that's when everything shifts. You'll stop fitting in. You'll stop playing small. You'll start walking different, thinking different, living different. Because when you truly become that myth, the one who never quits, never complains, never waits, the world has no choice but to move out of your way. Being that myth isn't about arrogance, it's about transformation. It's about building yourself into someone so unshakable that nothing, and I mean nothing, can pull you off your path. You've got to understand, this isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. Every single day you wake up to a battle between your potential and your excuses, between your goals and your distractions, between who you could become and who you've been settling to be. And if you don't take that battle seriously, life will eat you alive. The world doesn't hand out trophies for effort. It rewards those who refuse to fold when things get ugly. That's why you have to evolve. You have to turn your pain into pressure and your pressure into power. You have to grow through every bruise, every betrayal, every loss, and come out harder, colder, smarter, and sharper. Being that myth means you stop waiting for your confidence to come from outside validation. Confidence isn't built by compliments. It's built by consistency. Every time you show up when it's hard, every time you keep going when your body screams stop, every time you refuse to quit when it would be easier to give up, you're building that armor. You're crafting a mindset that says, oh, I don't care what's in front of me, I'm still moving. That's how the greats are made. Not in comfort, not in approval, but in the dark when nobody's clapping, when nobody believes in them. when the only voice left is the one inside saying, hey, keep going. That voice, that's the foundation of who you become. You start realizing that being that means you don't need permission to rise. You don't need support to keep going. You just need purpose. And you move with it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every time you evolve, you shed a version of yourself that once felt safe. And that's what scares people. They want to grow, but they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose their comfort, their circle, their identity, their habits. But here's the truth. If you don't share what's holding you down, you'll never touch what's meant to lift you up. Growth requires laws. Becoming that myth requires burning the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. That means saying goodbye to laziness, to fear, to excuses, to the people who keep you small because they're too afraid to grow themselves. It means cutting off the version of you that wanted an easy life and becoming the version that wants a meaningful one. You start walking differently. You start thinking differently. You start demanding more from yourself because you finally understand that comfort is the enemy of greatness. To be that miss is to live like your future self is watching every move you make. You think that version of you, the one with the strength, the freedom, the success, you think he's coming if you keep making weak decisions? No, he's waiting on you to level up. He's waiting on you to stop chasing instant pleasure and start chasing long-term purpose. He's waiting on you to be disciplined when no one's forcing you to be. He's waiting on you to stay locked in when everyone else gets distracted. That version of you exists. He's already out there, but you'll never meet him if you keep living like you got time. That's the real secret. Time isn't loyal. Every second you waste in hesitation, doubt, or distraction, he moves further away. But every second you move with purpose, with hunger, with relentless drive, you close the gap until one day you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize the person staring back because you became him. There's a fire that comes from realizing no one's coming to rescue you. No one's going to hand you confidence, peace, or success. You have to forge it. You have to earn it. You have to bleed for it. Have to put your head down when the world doubts you and say, watch me. You can't be at that method if you need the world to clap for you. You got to clap for yourself. You've got to wake up hungry and go after what's yours like your name's already written on it. You've got to hold yourself to a standard so high that even your best day doesn't feel enough. Because the moment you accept mediocrity, the moment you start saying it's fine, is the moment you lose your edge. And once that edge is gone, so is the fire. Becoming that means mastering your mind, because your mind is where the war starts. Your thoughts create your reality. You think small, you live small. You think fear, you breathe fear. But when you start thinking like a giant, when you start talking to yourself like a king, like a beast, like someone who cannot be broken, you start to act like it. You start to move like it. You start to move like it. You start to carry yourself differently. You stop settling for good enough. You stop chasing comfort. You start chasing purpose. Every day becomes a mission. Every moment becomes a test. Every obstacle becomes a chance to prove that you're still standing, still hungry, still unshaken. That's the mentality that separates the average from the elite. Not talent, not luck, but mindset. At the end of the day, being that myth is a choice. It's not a title you earn once. It's a standard you maintain daily. It's the decision to show up when you're tired, to keep going when you're broke, to stay focused when life throws distractions at you. It's the decision to live like you're meant for something greater and to never let the world convince you otherwise. You hold yourself accountable for everything, even the things you can't control, because you refuse to give up your power. You carry yourself like a warrior who's already won the war. And no matter how many times life hits you, you rise. You rise with the same fire, the same hunger, the same drive that started it all. Because when you finally become that man, the world feels it. Not because you told them, but because your energy demands it. You walk in purpose. You speak with conviction. You live with intensity. And everything around you starts to shift. Because when you change, everything changes. At the end of the day, this isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about unlocking the version of you that's been buried under doubt, fear, and comfort. You've got to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I really giving everything I've got? Because if you're not, then it's time to stop talking about change and start living it. You say you want to win, but are you willing to cut off distractions? Are you willing to be misunderstood? Are you willing to be the one who works when everyone else sleeps? Because that's the price of greatness. Not applause, not recognition, but silent consistency. The ones who make it aren't the ones who got lucky. They're the ones who refuse to quit when everything told them to stop. This world is full of people who say they want it, but wanting it isn't enough. You've got to move like it. You've got to breathe like it. You've got to bleed for it. You've got to bleed so locked in that people start questioning what's wrong with you. They won't understand your discipline. Your discipline. They won't understand your silence. They won't understand why you're not chasing what everyone else is chasing. But that's exactly why you win. Because while they're playing small, you're building something eternal. While they're chasing approval, you're chasing purpose. While they're afraid to fail, you're not even thinking about failing. You're too focused on becoming unstoppable. You've got to get to a place where your drive is louder than your fear, where your purpose is stronger than your pain, where you wake up every single day with a chip on your shoulder and a fire in your chest. That's what it means to be that one. That's what it means to walk with power. You've got to remind yourself, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you the life you dream about. If you want it, you've got to take it. You've got to fight for it. You've got to dig deeper than you ever had before. You've got to earn it every single day through your discipline, through your mindset, through your relentless hunger to grow. And when life tries to break you, because it will, you don't fold. You don't cry about it. You don't complain about how unfair it is. You use it. You turn that pain into power. You take that setback and make it your comeback story, because that's what separates the average from the elite. Not talent, not luck, but how you respond when everything falls apart. So right now, I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Nah. Decide that this version of you is the weakest you'll ever be again. Decide that from this moment on, you're done playing small. You're done living on excuses. You're done letting fear call the shots. From this moment forward, you're walking different. You're thinking different. You're moving different. Because when you finally lock in, when you finally become that MF, the world will have no choice but to take notice. So stay focused, stay hungry, and never ever let them forget who you are.